know what I'm saying? It's like that's kind of I just like the King James most consistent. It's more consistent. You know what I'm saying? It's like this word he uses here, the same word he uses here. So it's a connection a whole lot easier.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
In most cases. Well,
today's Friday, the 13th, huh? The little ridiculous superstition. Nope, I should do that this week, or it's gonna be too late.
You too. Pure.
What days are those? Wednesday, Thursday.
Yeah. Is it? Or is it Thursday, Friday?
Wednesday, Thursday.
I think it's Thursday, Friday.
We all have cell phones.
You sure?
Are you talking like that because your feet's up? If your feet wasn't up, would you use a different tone?
No, because you know the 5th falls on the busiest day for the month of me. I looked it up and I asked Wendy if she does it because the 5th is on a Thursday. We're short that day, and normally she asked me to work overtime, but I asked her not to.
Wednesday, Thursday.
Thank you.
Now we all know.
Wait a minute, though. Are those the days I told you to take off?
Those are my original days off, so I didn't have to take them off. And you said I don't have to take anything off anyways because they fall on my day off.
Nah, I'm confused.
Do we do?
Even Wendy looked it up because she was like, what's that? She's like, oh yeah, they still take care of falls on the 4th and 5th of March.
Como la flor.
Hey.
Ay, como te puede.
I don't know why.
You know that white outfit she wore.
Mm-hmm.
My friend was having this white party for her birthday. I sent her a picture. I was like, this is my outfit. Bustier.
That's hilarious.
All right, well.
I haven't heard that word since the 90s.
What word?
Bustier.
What's a bustier?
Some
Salinas was wearing.
Salinas.
Dazzle's brassiere.
Get the boy for me, please.
Anything for Salinas.
Can you take him over here, Tasha? Can you watch him, please? You can do both. All you gotta do is stop being nice to him, make his butt sit down.
Whatever.
Never
And
mind.
have him hollering and stuff.
I'll take it.
Don't do that and give me an ultimatum.
We can do that. No problem, huh?
Oh yeah, we'll see.
No problem.
He fat. The homie breathe like he fat.
He has allergies.
No, that's not it.
He has runny nose. He can breathe out his nose. So
No. Mm-mm.
he's not fat.
And he's been sick for like a month.
No, he has not.
Yes,
he has
has.
allergies.
All right.
I have been sick. He has allergies. He's not sick.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna schedule an appointment with an allergist.
Oh, it's a such thing as something?
No, yeah. What they do is they scratch you.
They tell you exactly what they
They
look for.
scratch you
I'm
on
an
the back
allergist,
with
so your
different
son
types
has
of
allergies.
things that people are known to be allergic to, and if you break out, you're allergic. If you don't, then you're not.
I'm gonna scratch you with something that's gonna break you out.
Yeah, it's almost like a vaccine.
You're allergic to that.
It's almost like a vaccine.
Yeah, I bet it is. It's nothing like that.
It's a placebo.
Yes, it is. Are we recording?
We are recording.
Dandelion.
Hey, everybody.
Here's some
So,
I think I'm gonna choose you being allergic to a dandelion.
it's always a wonderful honor for us to come together on a wonderful Sabbath to hear and learn of the word of truth that's given to us by the Most High God. We know that all honor goes to the Father through the Son, whose name is Yahushua. In him lies the only hope for salvation. We know it's obtained by by grace, through faith, not of works, lest anyone should boast. But it's given freely as a gift to all those who obey him. Anyone who does not obey him, we know it is made manifest or made obvious that they do not believe. In the state, we should expect no good thing from the Most High. Anything we do get, however, whether it be prophecy or spiritual healing or speaking in tongues or blessing or a gift or whatever it is, it can and will be used against us in the day of judgment if we do not repent. With that said, peace to the saints in the room. This saints that couldn't make it, and also the ones scattered around the world, and also peace or no peace to the wicked. Only thing we say, the only thing we say to them is repent that they might live. I said, hush, boy, that they might live. All right, Isaiah chapter 28. This is what happened. You get to get hailed, but you're being hailed the whole time.
Your arm gonna fall off.
You better savor the moment. Savor the moment. Savor.
Whom shall he teach knowledge? And whom shall he make to understand doctrine? Them that are weaned from the milk and drawn from the breast? For precept must be upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little. For with stammering lips and another tongue will he speak to this people.
All right, so he said he's going to speak to the people with stammering lips and another tongue, in a way that they won't understand. Keep going.
To whom he said, this is the rest wherewith ye may cause the weary to rest, and this is the refreshing, yet they would not hear. But the word of the Lord was unto them precept upon precept, precept upon precept, line upon line, line upon line, here a little and there a little, that they might go and fall backward and be broken, ensnared, and taken.
All right. So the whole reason that the word of the Lord was line upon line and here a little, there a little, was for the fact that they'll be broken, ensnared, and taken, that they'll be trapped, right? That they'll be set up into a position where they'll be captured. And that's why when we look at the word, we want to study it in the way that it's given to us. All right. We don't want to be broken. We don't want to be snared. We don't want to be taken. We don't want the word to be a puzzle for us. We want to be in a position where we can put it together. We can take a little bit from here and take a little bit from there, a line here, a line there, a precept here, which is a commandment, all right, and a commandment here, and put it together and get an understanding out of it as the Most High gives. All right, so that's what we're here to do every week. That's why we come every week, to make sure we get an understanding. It can be tough. It can be tough, especially when you got a crying baby in your face. But it can be tough when we have certain things going against us, or when the word is difficult for us to understand, or it feels like we won't get it, or we don't get it, or things are not clicking for us, or certain trials and tribulations go through us. And we say trials and tribulations, and we all kind of define that for ourselves. But certain challenges come to us, and we all, go through certain things. We lose people, we gain people, and then lose more people, and we have all these different things going on in our life, and it causes us to be distracted, or it causes us to wander, or to try other things, or to do other things, or become bored even, right? It becomes more of the same thing you do. You come here every week, this, that, and other, so it becomes boring, and you get distracted, right? So all these different things that come against us, these things happen for a reason. All right, the Most High puts us in positions to try to teach us and to try to show us and to break us down. Right, He'll do things to us and punish us and take us, and things may hurt us, but it's all in a way to break us down and get to the core of us. In order to, matter of fact, and go later on in that chapter. Go to verse maybe 23. What's the last verse?
29.
Yeah, so verse like 23. That might be a little early.
Give ye ear and hear ye my voice.
So he said, give ye ear
and hear my voice.
So this is the same chapter, Isaiah chapter 28, verse 23.
Give ye ear and hear my voice. Hearken and hear my speech. Doth the plowman plow all day to sow? Doth he open and break the clods of his ground?
Right, so he's asking a question. He's saying that the plowman, does he plow all day to sow? Meaning to plant seeds, right? So you plow, that means you break up the ground, and you try to create a situation where you can put your seed down into the ground. So he's saying, does he plow forever? Is he going to be doing this forever? Or does he just, does he break up the ground? Let's go and keep going.
Doth he open and break the clots of his ground? When he hath made plain the face thereof, does he not?
So when he made plain the face thereof, in other words, after he got done plowing and he made it all level where it's ready for the seed, right? When you plow, you have to break up the ground where it's hard so that you can get your seed into the soil. So he's saying after he plows, after he beats up on this ground and breaks it all up, is he going to be doing that all day? No, he does that for the time appropriate. Then after that, after he breaks up the ground and makes it plain, what is he gonna do?
Doth he not cast abroad the fitches and scatter the cumin?
Right. So fitches are a type of plant. Right. So the fitch seeds. So he takes it and he scatters them abroad. Right. So he said after he does that, doesn't he put the seed in the ground and then the cumin? Right. Doesn't he do the same thing with the cumin seeds? He puts that in the ground. Keep going.
And cast in the principal wheat and the appointed barley and the rye in their place.
Right. So he said, didn't he put the wheat and the rye? He put them in the appropriate places for him.
For his God doth instruct him to discretion and doth teach him. For the fitches are not threshed with a threshing instrument, neither is a cartwheel turned about upon the cumin.
Right. So he said his God instructs him. He said, in other words, he's saying the way that this is done, the Most High God set it up to be this way. Right. Read that part again where he says the fitches aren't what?
For the fitches are not threshed with a threshing instrument.
Right. So we talk about threshing. Right. We talked about it before. Threshing is when you take let's use wheat for example. Right. You have your stalk of wheat. Right. So it comes up and it kind of spreads out at the end of it once it's ripe. So once you have that wheat, you have different grains inside of it, but the grains are attached to what they call chaff. So it's all one thing. You can't really eat the chaff. Right. So you have to break up the grains out of the chaff. And the grains are pretty much the seed. It's a fruit. So it has a seed inside of it. So when you have that to thresh, it's about separating the edible part from the unedible part, right? The part that you can eat from the part that you can't eat. And so you do that, you have to thresh it. So there's different methods of threshing. Like you could beat it with a stick, you know what I'm saying, and it'll break it all up. You could take an ox, right, or a donkey, and you get out an ox and a donkey, just put a whole bunch of wheat on the ground, and have an ox or a donkey just walk over it. So they walk in circles. And they have something to just take the ox or the donkey in circles, and you'll put a whole bunch of wheat on the ground. They just step on it until it's all broken up. Then you have the wheat, and then you have the chaff, right? So you have the grains of the wheat, then you have the chaff. And so all the chaff would just get blown away with something called a winnowing fan. So you kind of throw it up and blow it away. The seeds are heavier, so they'll fall straight down. While the chaff will get blown away. So that's all the process of what he's doing. So now he's going through the way that we get to our fruit, or the way that we get to our produce. He said, look, does he plow all day? No, of course not, right? For a while he plows and then he puts the seed in the ground. After he puts the seed in the ground, you're not going to treat cumin the same way that you treat the what's it called? The fitches, right? He said you're not going to treat these. He said the wheat and the rye, you're going to treat those in a different way. Keep going.
For the fitches are not threshed with a threshing instrument, neither is a cartwheel turned about upon the cumin.
All right. So another way to get to thresh, you have a cartwheel go over it. Right. Anything to kind of break it. A quick way to break it up and separate it. Keep going.
But the fitches are beaten out with a staff.
The fitches are what?
Beaten out with a staff.
He said with the fitches, you gotta beat them things out with the staff. What else?
And the cumin with a rod. The cumin with a rod.
Right. And then with the cumin, you got to do that with a rod. Right. So with a staff and a rod, you have to get the cumin and the fitches. What up?
Bread corn is bruised, because he will not ever be threshing it,
right,
nor break it with the wheel of his cart.
All right. So he said the bread corn, or the grain, the wheat grain. Right. He said that one is bruised. Right. Because he won't be threshing it forever. It's not like he's gonna be sitting there for the whole time, or for the rest of this grain's life. He's gonna be sitting there beating up on it, threshing it, having ox walk over it, having people walk all over it, having it beaten, having it slid through a threshing grinder. All these different things. He said these things are not gonna happen forever. Right? What does he say next?
Because he will not ever be threshing it, nor break it with the wheel of his cart, nor bruise it with his horsemen.
He said he won't be doing all these things forever. Keep going.
This also cometh forth from the Lord of hosts, which is wonderful in counsel and excellent in working.
Right. So he said all this comes from the Lord of hosts. Right. So when we look at this without understanding, we just look at this and be like, I don't know what he's talking about. He's just talking about how to grow stuff. But what he's trying to do is compare this to us. He's saying just like the way that you have this grain of wheat, right? This grain of wheat, it starts off, right? It starts off fine, but then you have to beat it up, and you have to beat up the ground, and all these different things happen to it, all in a process. It doesn't last forever, but all in a process to get it somewhere, right? And that's the same thing he does with us. We go through tough times. He just got done explaining that whole chapter. We skipped over it, but he explained all the tribulation that we would go through. And now he breaks it down and says, well, this is not going to happen to other. All you guys have agriculture. It's not going to last forever. You have to beat up on wheat the same way you have to beat up with corn, right? You have to beat up on the rye. And you have to beat up on the fitches. But this is not going to last forever, right? You go through these things because it's all about getting us to the same place. Yahweh told us the same thing. Let's go to John chapter 12. It's John, the 12th chapter. Verse 20. This is John chapter 12, verse 20.
And there were certain Greeks among them that came up to worship at the feast. The same came therefore to Philip, which was of Bethsaida of Galilee, and desired him, saying, Sir, we would see Jesus.
All right, so the Greeks came up. These are Gentiles. So they came up and they're like, well, we want to see Jesus. We would see Jesus. You're saying that we would, or we wish, or we will to see Jesus. So he said, we want to see Jesus. What else? Hi.
Philip cometh and telleth Andrew, and again Andrew and Philip tell Jesus.
So after the Gentile told Philip, he's looking like, well, let me go tell Andrew. After that, Andrew and Philip both went to go tell Yahweh. What else happened?
And Jesus answered them, saying, The hour is come that the Son of Man should be glorified.
All right, so he ignored everything they said. He just said, well, listen, the hour has come that the Son of Man is going to be glorified. What does that have to do with anything?
You got to be put to death for the people. Verily, verily, I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone.
All right, so he said, except this corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. Right? So the way that we get to the corn of wheat is how the Most High God just told us by Isaiah. All right, because remember, wheat starts off as part of this whole stalk. It has to be separated, and the only way it can be separated is by being pounded by something. So this corn of wheat could never take on a life by or without itself, right? It would just die unless it goes through that full process. And so now he's saying, unless this corn of wheat fall and die, then it'll always be by itself. It just died. So let's see.
But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit.
But if it die, then it brings forth another stalk of wheat, right? Which produces a lot more fruit. Keep going.
He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life in this world shall keep it unto life eternal.
All right, so this is the process that we go through. While we're living in this body, we're just like the corn of wheat, right? At first, we start off with the corn of wheat, and we're entangled with a lot of other stuff that can't be eaten, right? That God can't accept. So then we have to be beaten. We have to be taken through a lot of things. We have to be persecuted in a way, right? And then after we go through these things, we're separated. A lot of things are separated and lifted off of us. And at that point, then we die. After we die, then we're reborn into something much better, right? This corn of wheat goes into the ground and it's grown into something that gives off much fruit towards God that he can eat. All right, so that's the process that we go through. So who remember where we were at last week? I guess not who. Last week we were on
Hezekiah.
we dealt with Hezekiah. What else?
Well,
What did Hezekiah do?
Hezekiah broke down the altars of the false gods.
That was a couple weeks ago.
Restored everything.
That was a couple weeks ago.
And the king of Assyria came down trying to besiege Jerusalem.
That was a week before last.
And God destroyed everyone that came up against that place.
That was a week before last.
All right. And then Hezekiah showed the Babylonians everything in his house.
That was a week before last.
That was last week. Nope. Yes, it was.
Oh yeah, that part was last week. We skipped him getting sick though.
Yeah, he got sick. No,
Yeah.
he didn't. We read that.
You read that last week?
We read that. He got sick.
No, I'm saying we skipped right now, recapping.
Oh.
Yeah, we skipped him getting sick. He got sick. All right, and then he prayed to the Most High God. He had to humble himself and pray to the Most High God. And then after the Most High God told him that he would be healed, then he reached out the Babylonians reached out to him because they heard he was sick. So they came to him. And after they came to him, he showed them everything they had, right? They were his friends. They coming on checking on him. So he was like, oh, okay, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Look at this stuff. I'm doing good over here. So he showed them everything. That wasn't a sin, right? It wasn't anything. It's nothing in the law that says do not show anybody what you have, right? So it wasn't a sin, but it was a decision that he made that was costly. So the Most High God sent Isaiah, and he spoke to him, and he said, well, because you showed them everything, right? Everything that you showed them, they're going to take. And he said, but I'm not going to do it to you in your generation. I'm not going to do it at this time. Right? I'm going to do it when you're children. And so, who remember what Hezekiah said?
Well, at least it's peace in my
He
days.
said what the Lord said was good. You know what I'm saying? He said, as long as he said, is it not good if it's peace in my days? So he was looking like, well, it's not happening to me. You know what I'm saying? So appreciate you. Good looking out. You know what I'm saying? Let it go to my kids. They're probably gonna be bad anyway. All right. So now we're gonna learn about his child. His name is Manasseh. King Manasseh is the one that comes after King Hezekiah. All right. So we're gonna go to 2 Kings chapter 21, verse 1. Hezekiah kept it real. Oh Lord, not my children, Lord. Don't make it happen to my children. Like, man, look,
Alright.
it's either me or my children. I prefer it not happen to me. I feel like you being gracious to me, Lord. I appreciate it. I still get that 15 more years, all right. Remember, you promised him 15 more years. This is going to be 2 Kings chapter 21, verse 1.
Oh, Manasseh.
You might want to watch?
Yeah.
Yep.
That blind that talk like the blind.
The who?
That blind that talk like the
Yeah.
and that one does it, and it's bugging me.
Where?
Whatever.
Look at this and this.
Uh,
But look at that one.
oh,
It is bugging me so bad.
I never even noticed.
that's hilarious. Only a girl would notice that.
I can't. I'm like, okay, stop looking at
Peep out them ones upside down though. That's bugging me.
Yeah, that's
it.
Your jacket should be on the couch. Well, you better find it. You got it.
It's the second Kings chapter 21, verse 1.
Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 50 and 5 years in Jerusalem.
All right, so you reigned 55 years.
And his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, after the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out before the children of Israel. For he built up again the high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed. And he reared up altars for Baal and made a grove, and as did Ahab, king of Israel.
So all these different things, these are the things that Hezekiah came and he corrected. Right? Hezekiah's dad, King Ahab, before him, King Ahaz before him, he had all these things going, right? And so now Hezekiah came along, he was like, let me tear some of this stuff down, let's get this thing going back right for God. All right, and then now Hezekiah has a son Manasseh, and he's like, let's go ahead and erect this stuff back up. Let's get it back going, you know what I'm saying, the way we had it before. You know what I'm saying? Keep going.
And made a grove, as did Ahab, king of Israel, and worshipped all the host of heaven and served them.
All right, so he worshiped all the hosts of heaven and served them. What does that mean?
Stars, sun.
The sun, stars, the moon, whatever's in the skies. Right? He was worshiping it. Keep going.
And he built altars in the house of the Lord, of which the Lord said, in Jerusalem will I put my name. And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the two courts of the house of the Lord. And he made his son pass through the fire, and observed times, and used enchantments, and dwelt with familiar spirits and wizards. He wrought much wickedness in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger.
All right. So he did all these different things, and this provoked the Most High God to anger. Well.
And he set a graven image on the grove that he had made in the house. Of which
so he made a grove in the house, and then on top of that, he set a graven image into the same house. So this is all inside of the temple, right? The most holy, the most holy place for, well, not necessarily the most holy place, but the holy place for our people. All right, keep going.
Of which the Lord said to David and to Solomon his son, In this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever.
All right, so he said, and this is a quote from what the Most High said before. He said, this is where I'm going to put my name in Israel, right? Talking about when David brought when Solomon brought the temple to Judah and built the temple. All right, so he said, this is where I'm going to place my name. All right, so they're quoting this. He said, they basically what they're trying to say is this man had the nerves to put this false god, this image, in the same place where the Most High God said this is where he's going to put his name. So they're just trying to show us how disrespectful it was. Keep going.
Neither will I make the feet of Israel move any more out of the land of which I gave their fathers, only if they will observe to do according to all that I have commanded them, and according to all the law that my servant Moses commanded them. But they hearkened not, and Manasseh seduced them to do more evil than did the nations whom the Lord destroyed before the children of Israel.
All right, so he is saying that King Manasseh, he ended up causing them to do more evil than all the nations that were in Israel before Israel, right? Because remember, we came out of here from Egypt. When we were in Egypt, we journeyed out. And after we journeyed out, about 40 years we spent in the wilderness. Then we went over into the land. When we went over into the land, there were Amorites there, Canaanites, right? And all these different people were there. And so when we went in, the Most High God cast them off. But he told us something before we went in, right? Let's go, who we have now? Let's go to Exodus chapter 9. Let's see what he told us before we actually took over the land. It's going to be Exodus chapter 9, starting at verse 1.
Excuse me. Then the Lord said unto Moses, go in unto Pharaoh and tell him, thus says the Lord God of the Hebrews, let my people go that they may serve me.
I'm sorry, Deuteronomy chapter, I'm about to say, what? This ain't Exodus chapter 9, but yeah, Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 1. Sorry about that. That was smooth.
What was on the camera?
That thing like the
That
Matrix.
Matrix. Hello, Shanice.
What's up? Full house.
What Trey?
He's spending night with me.
Word.
It's Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 1. Sorry about that.
Hear, O Israel,
He said, hear, O Israel.
thou art to pass over Jordan this day to go in to possess nations greater and mightier than thyself, cities great and fenced up to heaven.
Right, so this is before we took the land. He's encouraging us. He's saying we're going to have to cross over to Jordan, right? It's a body of water. He's saying we're going to cross over to Jordan and we're going to take over nations that are even greater than we are. All right, keep going.
A people great and tall, the children of the Anakims, whom thou knowest, and of whom thou hast heard say, who can stand before the children of Anak?
All right, the children of the Anaks are the children of the Anakim. They were giants, right? They were really tall, like 9 feet tall and more. So these are extremely big people, and everybody is saying who can stand before them, who can defeat these people. All right, so these are the people we're going up against. So what did he tell us next?
Understand therefore this day that the Lord thy God is he which goeth over before thee as a consuming fire. He shall destroy them, and he shall bring them down before thy face, so that thou drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord hath said unto thee.
All right, without the Most High God, without trusting that the Most High God was doing this for us, we wouldn't have been up to it, right? Before, when we were in the wilderness, we sent 12 scouts, right? We went to 12 people to go scout out the land, right? All of them, 10 of them brought back a report saying, the Anakim is way too big. We can't get they tall. We're like grasshoppers compared to them. And so they're looking like we can't do it because we couldn't, right? It was impossible that we were just going to run up on these big people and just, start killing them. It's not going to work like that. They're big, they're huge. And so the Most High God did put it on 2 of our brother in heart, on Joshua, the son of Nun, who has the same name as Yahushua, and also on Caleb, right, and put it on their heart, Caleb said, we can take this, right? The Most High God said we could do it, then we're well able to do it then, right? So we had the heart to go forward in that same spirit. Anybody who didn't have that spirit was cut off and they got left in the wilderness. So then when the Most High God cultivated us, he had to take us to the wilderness, just like we talked about the wheat or the corn. We had to be crushed, we had to be punished, we had to be put through different tough situations, right? In order to put us in a mind state that the Most High God is who we rely on. That's why he said 40 years we walked through the wilderness, that we might understand that man does not live on bread alone, but on every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High God. And so then with that in our minds, when he tells us we can take something, when he tells us he's going to be the one that takes down these giants, then we can trust in that. We can say, okay, let's do it. So that's why he's going to say this part next.
Not for thy righteousness or for the uprightness of thine heart.
Let's read that again. This is Deuteronomy chapter 9. Bless you. This is Deuteronomy chapter 9, probably about verse 3, verse 4, verse 4, verse 5.
Yeah, well, 5.
You sure?
Wait, 4. Oh, sorry.
All right, so this is Deuteronomy. You sure it ain't 3?
4. We just read 3.
Well, let's go back to 3. This is Deuteronomy chapter 9, verse 3.
Understand therefore this day that the Lord thy God is he which goeth before thee as a consuming fire. He shall destroy them, and he shall bring them down before thy face. So thou shalt drive them out and destroy them quickly, as the Lord hath said unto thee.
Right. So he said, this is exactly how I said it unto you. So that's something we had to trust. Right. He had to bring us through a lot of different situations in the wilderness to show us that we can trust his word. All right. Now look at what happens next.
Speak not thou in thine heart after that the Lord thy God has cast them out from before thee, saying, for my righteousness the Lord has brought me in to possess this land.
Right. He said, don't speak it in your heart. Don't get to thinking. When we think of heart, we think of emotion. Right. When the Bible says heart, what it's really talking about is just inside. So thoughts, anything that happens inside of you that can't be seen. So he said, don't think in your heart now. Don't get to thinking with your mind talking about, well, you know what? Now that we destroyed all the Anakim, now that we destroyed all the Amorites, the Canaanites, you know, I think we the most righteous people in the world. He said, don't think it happened because you so righteous. Right? Read that part again.
Speak not thou in thine heart after the Lord thy God has cast them out from before thee.
Right.
Saying,
So after they got cast out before you, after they got cast out of the land and y'all went in, don't think in your heart what?
for my righteousness the Lord hath brought me in to possess this land.
He said, don't think I did it because you are righteous. All right, let's see what happens.
But for the wickedness of these nations the Lord doth drive them out from before thee.
He said, the reason I'm bringing you in there is because they're wicked. He said, because of all their wickedness, I'm driving them out from before you. That's why when we read over in Kings, he said the king Manasseh, he was doing all the things that the abomination that all the other nations did that the Most High God drove them out for. So all the things that the Most High God, matter of fact, go to let me see, Deuteronomy chapter Deuteronomy chapter 31.
There's a song of Moses.
Deuteronomy chapter 18 first. Deuteronomy chapter 18 and go to verse 9 first. I think that's what I'm looking for.
When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, thou shalt not learn to do after the abomination of those nations.
Right? So he said, when thou come into the land that the Most High God is going to give you, you're not going to learn to do after the abomination of those nations. Right? And we just read over in 2 Kings that King Manasseh was doing after the abominations of all the nations, the same abomination that caused them to be driven out. Right? So this is all in our law. It's important for us to see that because nothing that happens is outside of our law. Nothing that God punishes for us for is outside of the law. Right? And so everything that we did is just because we took it lightly or we just didn't pay attention to it. So he's showing us that exactly what he says is going to happen is going to happen to us. All right, keep going.
There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter pass through the fire.
So nobody among you is going to make their son pass through the fire. That's exactly what Manasseh said. 2 Kings said Manasseh did. Keep going.
Or that useth divination or observe of times, or an enchanter or a witch.
Right. So he said the king of Manasseh, or King Manasseh, he did those things too. Keep going.
Or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do those things, these things are an abomination unto the Lord.
All right, these things are abomination to the Lord. And what happened?
Because of these abominations, the Lord thy God doth drive them out from before thee.
All right, he said, because of these abominations, the Most High God is going to end up driving them out from before you. All right, so the Most High God, these are the reasons that the Most High God is taking these people out of the land. So what do you think happens when we start to do it?
You take us out.
All right, we get taken out of the land too, because he already told us it wasn't for our righteousness that we were brought in. It was because of the people's wickedness. So if we start acting the same type of acting wickedly the same way that they do, then we get the same punishment, right? The Most High God is just. So now we're gonna have to look at that. Let's go back to let's go to Second Chronicles. Second Chronicles, chapter 33. We're in 2 Kings chapter 21. We can leave that though. It's the same story in 33, so we'll just pick it up from here. This is 2 Chronicles chapter 33. We can start at verse 1.
Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem.
All right, so this is the same Manasseh. He reigned 55 years, and he's 12 when he started. Same person. Keep going.
But did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, like unto the abominations of the heathen, whom the Lord had cast out before the children of Israel.
All right, so now he's doing. We just read our law, what it said. Don't do after the abominations. That's the same reason that he drove them out. But it's telling us now he did after those abominations. Keep going.
For he built again the high places which Hezekiah his father had broken down.
All right, he built the high places.
And he reared up altars for Baalim, and made groves, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served them.
All right, so then he worshipped the host of heaven, and he served them. Reared up an altar for Balaam. Keep going. Also,
he built altars in the house of the Lord, whereof the Lord had said, in Jerusalem shall my name be forever.
All right, he said, I'm going to put my name here forever. It's what the Most High God told us. And instead, he ended up building false gods in there, building up things that ought not be in there. Keep going.
And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the two courts of the house of the Lord. And he caused his children to pass through the fire in the valley of the son of Hinnom.
All right, so he caused the children to pass through the fire. That's what we just read. The Most High God said, don't let them do. Right? Do not have your children pass through the fire. Keep going.
Also, he observed times and used enchantments and used witchcraft and dwelt with a familiar spirit and with wizards.
Right? We just read that it told us not to do these specific things. Right? But he did them. All right, keep going.
He wrought much evil in the sight of the Lord to provoke him to anger. And he set a carved image, the idol which he had made in the house of God, of which God had said to David and to Solomon his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen before all the tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever.
All right, so he said, this is the house I'm going to put my name forever. Let's see what else he said, though.
Neither will I any more remove the foot of Israel from out of the land which I have appointed for your fathers, so that they will take heed to do all that I have commanded them, according to the whole law and the statutes and the ordinances by the hand of Moses.
All right, so he just, in this, they're quoting the word now. They're quoting something that we already read this before. So they quoting that, and they saying, see, this is he set up an altar, an improper altar in the same place. The Most High God said, this is the place, right? This is where I'm going to keep y'all. And I'm not, read that part again where he said he's not going to move their foot.
Neither will I any more remove the foot of Israel from out of the land which I have appointed for your fathers.
Right, so that's a promise to the Most High God. The Most High God promised that he would not remove the foot of Israel. All right, but what just happened to Israel?
They was removed.
They were removed, right? We just read a couple weeks ago how the king of Assyria took all the Israelites and removed them. So we mess around and think God is lying. Like, I thought you said you wasn't going to move us, God. I thought you said you wasn't going to move our feet.
He said it.
That comes all down to the word, right? Let's go back and read it. We're going to hold what we have here. We're going to come back here. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 7. And this is the same type of thing that we get into today, right? We get to taking God's promises, but we ignore the things, the curses, the things that God said will happen if we don't obey, if we don't line up with his word, right? So we just take his promises, and then we lose faith because the promise didn't happen the way that we thought it should happen, right? And so then people today, they got to try to, I don't know what they do. They try to make God's promises just weak, right? When God said, if you have faith, you can move a mustard, or faith of a mustard seed, you can move a mountain. To them, that don't actually mean moving a mountain, because that's unbelievable to them, because they don't have the faith, right? So that's unbelievable to them. So they say, well, no, he don't mean an actual mountain. He means the mountain in your life. He's talking about when when you can't pay your bills, just have faith. The size of mustard seed, and you'll get your bills paid. Right? All these natural things that everybody does every day, right? These regular things, they've reduced God's promise to something weak easily that anybody can do, right? Because they don't have faith that what he really said is going to happen will happen. They have to minimize it. Same thing with people. How you know God loves you? Well, God loves me because he woke me up this morning. So did everybody. He woke everybody up this morning unless they died. So it's like, how did that separate who he loves and not who he doesn't love? He said he has the same thing for the evil man. So the sinner is what he gives to the good man. So I'm gonna separate love and the love he has for you.
The rain shines on the just and the unjust. Fall, sorry.
Yeah, right. The rain shines. He said, so the rain falls on the just and the unjust, right? So that doesn't separate what he loves, but that's what we have to do, because now we have to believe the Bible without believing the Bible, right? We have to do it at the same time. We can't admit to ourselves, well, I really don't believe what I just read. So we have to translate what we just read into unbelief to make it fit what we will believe. That's why you have people that think, well, I'm a scientist, right? Or I've studied chemistry and geology and all these different, sciences. So now that's what my belief is. I believe these things are facts. So when you tell me the world was created in 6 days, that doesn't make sense to me. So I say, okay, I look at it and I try to compare it with my science. All right, the world was created in 6 days, but those aren't literal days. I believe the Bible now. I believe the world was created in 6 days, but those aren't literal days. Each day, you never know. It could be 1,000 years within that day. All right, and then you come with some fancy explanation. See, the world at a different time moved around the orbit of the sun at a different rate after the Big Bang, which caused the actual day to be longer. So to us, that day now would be millions and millions of years. And it's like, okay, all right. So you just made yourself a really smart idiot, because now you're looking at what God says and you interpret it to fit what you will believe, because you can't believe what God says. It's too difficult to believe that. So now so you don't want to admit you don't believe the Bible, so you try to retain your belief of the Bible by changing what it says. You got the same thing with women preaching, with everything, all these different things that's hard for people to believe, right? When we look at them, we say, well, no, that's not what it means. God was just talking to these particular people at that time, right? Then they come up with this fake story. Well, see, no, it was a woman in the city of Corinth, right? And she led a church and she used to practice divination. And that's why Paul wrote that and said women couldn't preach. He was talking to that woman. Oh, so that's why he said in all the churches, right? And where did you read about this woman? All right, so now you got to cook up this story, read about it somewhere, wherever they read about it, if it's even real. But we have to read about it somewhere. It's not in the Bible. The Bible doesn't explain it. The Bible just says, I wouldn't have a woman exercise authority over a man and teach. Right? And so we look at these things as plain, but when it's tough, we have to reconstruct the word to fit our ideology or what we will believe, because it's too tough to believe what it actually says. Right? So we can't fall into that same trap. And that's exactly what we'll do today when it comes to these promises and these curses. We don't want to believe the curses. We don't want to believe what will happen to us if we don't obey. We don't want to believe that we'll go to hell. We don't want to believe that God doesn't love us, that God might hate us if we continue to do evil, that God's angry with us. So when we look at the word, we fit it and reshape it and reinterpret it to make it fit what we think. All right? And that's the same thing that these men did. Keep going. Second Samuel 7, verse, start at verse 1.
And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and the Lord had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, see now.
Who is the king in this case?
David.
This is King David, right? Keep going.
I dwell in the house of cedar, but the ark of God dwelleth with curtains. And Nathan said to the king, go, do all that is in thine heart, for the Lord is with thee.
All right, so this is before the temple. This is back when, you remember Moses, when we were in the wilderness, he created a tabernacle, a portable tabernacle, where we could carry the Ark of the Covenant around. So when God had us design the Ark of the Covenant, he just had it where it could be built. And that's why he said it's just covered with curtains. Because we had our portable tabernacle, it just was curtains, really. Right? You would set up a frame and then hang curtains over the frame. right? So it's like, well, I have a house of cedar, right? We brought into Judah. He has his kingdom. He built him a nice little house. And he's like, well, I have a house of cedar, but the house of the Lord is still in curtains. He's like, that just don't feel right to me. All right. So he's talking to the prophet Nathan. He's like, you know what? I think I'm gonna build God a house. All right, keep going.
And it came to pass that night that the word of the Lord came unto Nathan, saying, Go and tell my servant David, thus saith the Lord.
All right. So Nathan originally he told him, do what's on your heart. Right? It seemed right to me. Go ahead and do it. But after that, later on that night, the word of the Lord came to him. And the Lord was like, no. Go back and talk. Go ahead, go back and talk to David. So now Nathan gonna have to come back and tell David what God is saying. Let's see.
Thus saith the Lord, Shalt thou build me a house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelled in any house since the time that I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, Why build ye not me a house of cedar? Now therefore, so shalt thou say unto my servant David, Thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thine enemies out of thy sight, and have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are on the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and will plant them, that they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more.
Right. So he said, I'm gonna dwell. I'm gonna pick a place and I'm gonna plant them. Right, and they're gonna dwell in the place of their own. And let's see.
Neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more as before time.
Right? He said, neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them as before time. Because if you remember, when we came out of Egypt, we went into the land. Then we had a couple years of peace under Joshua because he took everything out. And when Joshua died and all the leaders who were around the time of Joshua died, then the time of judges came. Right? And then we started walking in disobedience again. So then you have all these other nations that came and they put us in captivity again. All right, and we're having wars and we are losing, right? We are taken captive many times, back and forth, 40 years at a time, and we'd be free for 80 years, and 40 more years, and 80 years of slavery, and then back and forth, right? So he's telling us, look, we're not going to be moved, and no more of these children of wickedness, they're not going to be punishing us no more. They're not going to be on top of us anymore. Keep going.
And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel.
Right, so he's talking about the land time of the judges. So he says, since that time that I commanded judges to be over Israel,
and have caused thee to rest from all thine enemies, also the Lord telleth thee that he will make thee a house.
All right, so he said to David, I'm going to make you a house. Right, you talking about making me a house? I'm going to make you a house. And what else?
And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom.
Right, so he said it's going to be a child that proceeds out of your bowels. Right, it's going to proceed out of you. Right, somebody that's going to come from you, and I'm going to, what did he say he's going to do?
And he shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
All right, so he said, I'm going to establish his kingdom forever. Keep going.
I will be his father, and he shall be my son.
He said, I'm going to be his father, and he shall be my son.
If he commit iniquity, I will chastise him with the rod of men, and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul.
All right, so who remembers what happened with Saul?
He got taken out of the way.
Right, when Saul sinned, when Saul didn't do what the Most High God wanted him to do, he pulled it. He said, well, you know what? The kingdom now departed from you, and it's given to somebody who's better than you. Right, and it was given to David. Right, so that's what happened with Saul. Saul was our first king, our very first king. He is from Benjamin. And when he messed up, the Most High God just took it away from him. Right, he just said, you know what? Forget it. That's it. Took it away from him and gave it to somebody else. So now he's promising David. He said, I'm not going to do you like that. He said, it's going to be one of your kids. And if one of your kids sin, I'm going to punish him, right? I'm going to chastise him. But I'm not going to take away the kingdom like I did Saul. My mercy is going to stay with you, right? So he promised David that his mercy would always stay with him. And he also promised him that his kid, one of his kids, would be the one who had this promise. And he would be called his son, and he would be a father to him, right? Keep going.
But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. And thine house and thine kingdom shall be established forever before thee, and thy throne shall be established forever. according to all these words and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto David.
Right? So Nathan told him. So that's where they got it from, where he said, well, they're gonna be planning, they wouldn't move. Right? And the children of wickedness are not gonna be able to mess with them anymore. That's what he was quoting. Right? And that's what we look at. But we look at, well, hold on, they did move. Because remember, he just told them, if you keep this law, right? If you keep all of the law, right? Because before he told David that, before he promised David that, he promised us something else. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse let me see here. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 36.
The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Right. So he said, the Lord is going to bring you and the king that you set over yourself, right, to a place where neither you or your fathers knew. Keep going.
And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone.
All right. He said, and then when you get there, y'all going to serve other gods that are wood and stone. Right. This is what happens with the Assyrians. The Assyrians came in and took Israel, and they took the king at that time, whose name was Hoshea, and they took him and the people, and they took them into the land of different lands actually, but most of them they took into the different places right. So they took them into different lands, and there they ate unclean things according to what the word said, right? And that all goes along to what the Most High God said, because they set kings over them. When we read about all these kings in Israel, remember we have Israel in the north, Judah in the south. So we read about all these kings in Israel. We see all these different kings that just got killed off or assassinated, and then they put whoever they wanted in place. They didn't consult them. Go to Hosea chapter 8, verse 1. We'll start at verse 1. I think it's like verse 4, but Hosea chapter 8, verse 1. He'll tell us. We have all these different kings, right, in the northern tribes. All right, with the kings of Judah, it was always the son, because that's exactly how God wanted it ordained. All right, when the father dies, then give the kingdom to his son. Right, because it had to trace back to David because of the promise that he gave David. That's why he split the kingdom in two, because he had to fulfill these two promises. All right, we'll look at it. This is Hosea chapter 8, verse 1.
Set the trumpet of thy mouth. He shall come in as an eagle against the house of the Lord, because they have transgressed my covenant and trespassed against my law.
All right, so they broke the law. All right, they transgressed the covenant. Keep going.
Israel shall cry unto me, my God, we know thee.
All right, they're gonna cry unto him, saying, "We know you." Right, just like what Yahushua told us in the 7th chapter of Matthew. He said, one day they're gonna come. All right, saying,
Lord, Lord.
Lord, Lord, have we not done these things in your name? He's gonna say, depart from me, I never knew you. Right? Keep going.
Israel has cast off the thing that is good. The enemy shall pursue him. They have set up kings, but not by me. They have made.
He said that they set up kings, but they didn't do it by me. All right, talking about Israel. All right, remember, talking about the northern tribe. He said they set up kings, but it's not by me. I didn't have nothing to do with that. Keep going.
They have made princes, and I knew it not.
Right, princes are rulers, not sons of kings. Right, we think of a son of a king when we think princes, but princes, he's talking about rulers. So a prince and a king can be the same thing. So he's saying they set up princes, but they didn't ask me. Right, they didn't come to me and get my permission. So that's why in the 28th chapter of Deuteronomy, we look at it, says you're gonna set a king over you, and we're gonna take that king that you set over you and all the people, and y'all gonna go to a land that y'all don't even know about, right? The land that y'all don't even mess with. Right, and that's exactly how it happened to the northern tribe in Israel. Right, so God had to fulfill that promise. So when he told David, he hadn't fulfilled that promise yet. He said, well, if y'all don't keep the law, that's gonna happen to you. But he told David at the same time, I'm not gonna move you, and I'm not gonna remove my mercy from you. Right. So he had these two different promises that are almost opposite that he has to fulfill. That's why he had to split the kingdom. Right. That's why he had to rip the kingdom from Solomon after Solomon sinned, because Solomon was the son of David. So the promise would have gone to Solomon. That's that promise where he's talking about, hey, you gonna be a son to me, and he gonna be a father. Right? He'll be a son, and I'll be his father. that promise would have gone to Solomon, but Solomon sinned. So since Solomon sinned, it got ripped from him. Then it goes to Rehoboam, right? Then Rehoboam sinned. So now it gets passed on from Rehoboam and on and on and on until now we're on to the Manasseh, and Manasseh is the son of David. So it keeps going all the way down. That's why we can go over to
Luke.
Yeah, let's go to Matthew.
All right.
Matthew chapter
3, 2.
Well, no, let's go to Deuteronomy. Let's go to Deuteronomy 31. This is Deuteronomy chapter 31.
And Moses went and spake these words unto all Israel, and he said unto them,
All right, this is before we came into the land. This is when Moses was giving us the law. Remember, Moses couldn't go into the land with us. The Most High God said, you can't enter it in because he didn't believe God, right? Because God charged him with unbelief when it came down to water and Meribah, right? He hit the rock, and then he said, must we, right? He put himself up there with God. He said, must we continue to get water out of this rock for y'all? You know, even though y'all rebellious. All right, and the Most High God said, well, you didn't believe me to set me apart, to hallow my name. All right, you're supposed to say that when the Most High God did this, I'm just a servant. All right, but you say you doing this like we on the same team or something. Like you just like I needed your help to do it. All right, you working for me here, boy. And so when he told him that, he was looking like, oh, you right, God. You know what I'm saying? You right. And he told him that he couldn't go in. Right? He even asked God, like, come on, just let me in. He's like, don't even mention it to me no more. All right, don't even open it. Don't ask me about it no more. You're not going in. All right. So this is Moses trying to give us all the information. He just got done giving us a spiel of what's going to happen. Chapter 28, all full of curses. Chapter 27, full of blessings and curses, right? Chapter 28, full of blessings and curses. We look at all these different things. Chapter 29, full of warnings. He called heaven and earth witness against it. And it goes on in 30. And now we in what, 31?
31.
31. Keep going.
And he said unto them, I am 120 years old this day. I can no more go out and come in. Also the Lord hath said unto me, thou shalt not go over this Jordan. The Lord thy God, he will go over before thee, and he will destroy these nations from before thee, and thou shalt possess them. And Joshua, he shall go over before thee, as the Lord hath said.
What verse is it?
3.
3. Go to, jump down to verse 26.
Take this book of the law and put it in the side of the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, that it may be there for a witness against thee.
Right, so this is the Ark of the Covenant, the same one that David was like, well, the Ark is dwelling inside of curtains. Right, so this is the same Ark. He said, go ahead and put it in there. All right, take the law and put it inside of there.
For I know thy rebellion and thy stiff neck.
Right, so Moses is telling them, he said, I know y'all rebellion and how stiff-necked y'all are. Stiff-necked just means you won't be turned. You're going to do what you want to do. Right, when you have like a bull or an ox, you take it, you want to be able to turn the neck so it'll walk the way in the direction that you want it to do. But when you have one that's stiff neck, you can't move it. All right. So it's like, now I want you to go this way. So I'm trying to turn your head, but you just stay straight. So that's how God is saying we are. And that's what Moses would tell them. He said, I know y'all stiff neck. Y'all gonna go and do whatever you want to do. Keep going.
Behold, while I am yet alive, will you this day, ye have been rebellious against the Lord, and how much more after my death? Gather unto me the elders of your tribes and your officers, that I may speak these words in their ears and call heaven and earth to record against them.
All right, so he said, I'm gonna call heaven and earth to record against you. Right, I'm gonna make sure that the heaven and earth, they can stand and they can witness this. All right, because I know even when I'm alive, y'all bad. You know what I'm saying? So I know even much more after I die, y'all gonna be rebellious. All right, keep going.
For I know that after my death ye will utterly corrupt yourselves and turn aside from the way which I have commanded you, and evil will befall you in the latter days, because you will do evil in the sight of the Lord, to provoke him to anger through the work of your hands.
All right, so Moses already knew these things. When he was telling us all these curses, he knew the curses were going to happen. Right? He's like, I'm already knowing this is going to happen. Keep going.
And Moses spake in the ears of all the congregation of Israel the words of this song until they were ended.
All right, go to 2 Timothy chapter 2.
Verse what?
Probably verse 9. It's 2 Timothy chapter 2, I think verse maybe 9, maybe.
Wherein I suffer trouble as an evildoer, even unto bonds.
It's second that's verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
What's verse 8 say?
Remember that Jesus Christ, the seed of David. Was
Oh yeah, there we go. So this is 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 8.
Remember that Jesus Christ of the seed of David.
Right.
Was
so he
raised.
said this is Yahushua, Jesus Christ, Yahushua HaMashiach, the son of David. Right? Why is that significant?
Because God said.
Because of the promise, right? He just promised David. We just read it. How he said it's gonna be somebody out of your loins, out of your bowels, right? And he said, he'll be a son to me, and I'll be a father to him, right? And so now that he made that promise, we have all these kings that we've read about, right? From Rehoboam all the way down to Manasseh, and none of them have lived up to fulfill that promise. So since they didn't, it had to keep being passed over, right? And Paul is gonna explain why, right? Why it had to keep on getting dropped down. Keep on.
Remember that Jesus Christ of the seed of David was raised from the dead according to my gospel, wherein I suffered trouble as an evildoer, even unto bonds, but the word of God is not bound. Therefore I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain the salvation which is in Christ Jesus with eternal glory. It is a faithful saying.
Keep going.
For if we be dead with him, we shall also live with him.
Right? So if we die with him, we're going to also live with him. That's why he told us in the beginning that anybody who loves his life is going to lose it. But anybody who's willing to lose his life will gain it. Right? So if we die with him, we'll also live with him. Keep going.
If we suffer, we shall also reign with him. If we deny him, he will also deny us.
So if we deny him, if we suffer with him, we're going to reign with him. Right? If we go through his suffering. Right? We talked about in the beginning how there are different levels and different things that happen to us. Right? All these different things that the process that it takes for us to get where God wants us to be. He compared it to the wheat, right? And the different things that the process of growing with our agriculture and getting our things, what we have to do to get our corn out of the wheat. We have to beat it, and we have to thresh it, then we have to separate the grain from the chaff. And after that one grain can also have take on the life of its own and grow another one, right? And so that's what we look at. So he said, if we go through that suffering with him, if we hold faithful to his word, then he promises that he'll be able to make us something more. So we'll end up reigning with him, right? What's next? If we deny.
Therefore I endure all things for the elect's sake, that they may also obtain the salvation which is in Christ Jesus with eternal glory. It is a faithful saying, for if we be dead with him, we shall also live with him. If we suffer, we shall also reign with him. If we deny him, he also will deny us.
So he said, if we deny him, he will also deny us. All right, keep going.
If we believe not, yet he abideth faithful. He cannot deny himself.
All right, he said, if we stop believing, right, we just like, I don't know. I don't know if God can come up with that, right? I don't know. God told us that he wasn't going to move our feet. All right, so he told us, God told me that my son was going to be like a son to him, right? And he would be a father to him. But that didn't happen. All right, my son ended up being a sinner, and he ended up ripping the kingdom from him. So I just don't really know, right? You know what I'm saying? I don't know if that works out. That's what David could have did, right? Or that's what the children of Judah could have said. They said, well, he said he wasn't going to move us, all right? But he moved Israel all up out of here. I don't get it, right? So they could have all been like, well, I think God kind of fell on his promise. He didn't come through with his promise. But he's looking here. He's saying, well, look, if we don't believe, God can't deny himself now. So that means, what is it? Well, he's going to tell us in the next verse what it means.
Of these things, put them in remembrance, charging them.
So read that last verse again then.
If we believe not, yet he abideth faithful. He cannot deny himself.
All right. So when he said if we don't believe, then he's going to remain faithful. Right. So still, what he said is still going to happen. That's why even though Solomon sinned and didn't live up to the promise, it falls down to Rehoboam, right? And even though Rehoboam sinned and didn't live up to the promise, it falls down to Ahijah, right? And even though Ahijah sinned and it keeps going down, right? And it keeps going down and keeps going down till it gets to Manasseh. We just read about how Manasseh sinned did after all the abominations. But then it keeps going down from Manasseh, and we're gonna have to read about Ammon, and we're gonna have to read about Josiah, and we're gonna have to read about Jehoiakim and Jehoiachin and Jehoiakah, and I don't remember all their names off the top.
Jehoiakim, and Zedekiah.
Nope, Conaniah.
Yeah, that's it.
One of them. Well, I think Conaniah is actually one of them, though. I don't know. We have to.
There's two of them.
And then we have Zedekiah, right? Then after Zedekiah, you got a governor that comes. And after the governor, you have different people to go, and then you end up at Christ, right? And Christ was the only one who walked perfectly faithful. So now God can fulfill his word. But this whole time, everybody disobeying, he didn't deny himself. They didn't believe him, but he didn't deny himself. He said, I got to remain faithful. So it ends up falling, right? And the same thing with Judah, right? Same thing with Israel. He said, I got to remain faithful. I know y'all gonna mess up. So now I got to split this kingdom. So when y'all mess up, I can still remain faithful. I told y'all if y'all messed up, I'm going to send y'all to another land. So I still have to do that. Why do you think when we got here, it didn't happen until Christ came, right? He took us out of the land and he had to bring us right back, right? And we're going to read about that, right? He took us out of Judah. He brought us into Babylon and he had to bring us right back to Judah. Then Christ came. After Christ was named king, because he said there would never fail a king. So after Christ was named king, then after that, Christ was like, look, don't cry for me because I'm about to be put to death. Y'all need to be crying for yourselves because not too much longer after this, you have people that surround you and they're going to chase down these women and they're going to rip them open while they're pregnant. And everybody's going to be scattered. And that's when we ran into Africa. And 500 years later or hundreds of years later, then we ended up getting picked up and brought into America and all these different things. But that couldn't happen until Christ came because he had to be faithful. If it happened before Christ came, we'd be scattered. We'd lose our identity. Then who can prove who Christ is? We can't even prove. If it was now, people don't even believe we Hebrew. A lot of us don't even believe we Hebrew. So imagine Christ being crucified. And we're like, man, he ain't even Hebrew. Right? This ain't even the one. So that'll mess up God's promise altogether. So you have to make sure, let me just get this out of the way first. Right? I mean, how Christ come, we go. He died, he come back. That's why Christ couldn't take the kingdom at that same time. That's why he couldn't just be like, I'm the Lord Jesus Christ, and now I'm the king. He had to die and go sit up with the Father because the Father he's like, no. I still got punishments I got to fulfill. I promised y'all that I was going to do these things. I promised good things and bad things. So now all these things have to work out. That's why things take, to us, it's a long time. All right? That's why things take so long because the Most High God is like, no. I still got to punish some people. And I still got some people that I still got to make good. All his promises, every one of his word, everything has to come through exactly how I said it. Because even if we don't believe, he cannot deny himself. He still has to remain faithful. Right? Keep going to, let's go to back to 2 Chronicles 33. Matter of fact, before we get that, let's go to Romans 11. And then we'll go to 2 Chronicles 33. Romans chapter 11. Verse 22. We're just going to read this one verse real quick. You sure making a whole lot of noise. You know what else babies do? Get whooped. You know, she might be a little bit too young. He's not.
This is not that. This is not that case.
This is 22. It's Romans 11, chapter 22. I'm sorry, Romans chapter 11, verse 22.
Behold, therefore, the goodness and severity of God on them which fail, severity.
Right. So he said, behold, right, pay attention to the goodness and the severity of God, right? On them who fail.
Severity.
Right. So on Israel, when they kept on doing after the abomination of the Most High God, then it was severity on them. We see bad things happen to them. We see them getting taken out of the land, right? And then what else?
But toward thee goodness, if thou continue in his goodness, otherwise thou also shall be cut off.
Right? But to Yahushua, it was goodness. But if Yahushua didn't continue in his goodness, God forbid, but had he not continued in his goodness, then God would have to raise somebody else up later, right? And so that's why he's looking at it. He's saying, I can't, I'm good. What I told you is going to happen is going to happen. And that's the faith that we got to have in his word. The same thing with us, right? We look at his word and say, if this is going to happen to us, if we continue in sin, then we have to look at that. This is going to happen, right? If we don't believe it, God is still going to be faithful. It's not like he's going to go, well, you didn't believe I was going to do that to you, so I'm not going to do it to you. He's still going to be faithful. He said, this is what's going to happen. You have to believe it. If you don't believe it, I'm still going to do it, right? But if you do it this way, then I'll also be faithful to the good things, So it's good and severity. And it's important for us to keep all those things in mind. Now let's go to 2 Chronicles chapter 33. It's 2 Chronicles chapter 33, verse, I don't know where we left off.
8.
Verse 8. 2 Chronicles chapter 33, verse 8.
Neither will I any more remove the foot of Israel from out of the land which I have appointed for your fathers, so that they will take heed to do all that I have commanded them, according to the whole law and the statutes and the ordinance by the hand of Moses. So Manasseh made Judah and the inhabitants of Jerusalem to err, and to do worse than the heathen whom the Lord had destroyed before the children of Israel.
Right, so they did worse. All right, keep going.
And the Lord spake to Manasseh and to his people, but they would not hearken. Wherefore the Lord brought upon them the captains of the host of the king of Assyria.
Right, so it's the same kingdom, well, not the same one, but now the same kingdom, Assyria, coming against them. Right, they already got Israel. Remember, the king of Assyria came against Hezekiah, right? But the Most High God didn't let him get Hezekiah. He told Hezekiah, look, I'm not going to let these people come against him, because Hezekiah was righteous, right? Hezekiah did the right things before God. And as soon as it happened, he got down and he prayed with him like, listen, God, I know you can do this for us, right? So he didn't let him get Hezekiah, all right? And that's because of the goodness and the severity of the Most High God. But now with King Manasseh, totally different story. Let's see what happens.
Wherefore the Lord brought upon them the captains of the host of the kingdom of Assyria, which took Manasseh among the thorns and bound him with fetters and carried him to Babylon.
All right, so now they took the king. They didn't even take the other people. We just have it written that they took the king. They took Manasseh. They bound him with fetters. Right, that just means they put stuff in this, probably in his cheeks or in his mouth.
Usually, like,
huh?
You go on your legs. It's like chain your legs up. It's
right.
like to the arms to the legs or something like that.
They had them all chained up and they brought him out. Keep going.
And when he was in affliction, he besought the Lord his God and humbled himself greatly before the God of his fathers.
All right, so now when he got into the affliction, now he got humbled. All right, so these are the things that he had to go through. All right, so the Most High God humbled him in this situation. Let's see what he did from there.
And prayed unto him, and he was entreated of him, and heard his supplication, and brought him again to Jerusalem into his kingdom.
So God was entreated of him. All right, so that means that God heard him. All right, after he humbled himself, God, the Most High God heard him, and then he brought him back to his own land. All right, he released him. Keep going.
Then Manasseh knew that the Lord, he was God.
So after that, Manasseh knew. He said, you know what? You the Most High God. And one of the reasons why he knows is he can look back and say, exactly what you said would happen if I didn't obey happened to me. Then I humble myself and sought you. And remember what Solomon told. He said, even if we in captivity, right? If we humble ourselves and seek you, that you will hear us. And the Most High God responded to Solomon. He said, you know what? If the people humble us, go get it. That's all we got there. I think it's
1 Kings chapter 8. I think
1 Kings 8.
8 or 9.
Let's do it. I don't know for sure. Let's try 9. 1 Kings chapter 9, maybe verse like 8.
Yeah. At this house which is high, everyone that passeth 8.
Okay, so this is 1 Kings chapter 9, verse 8.
And at this house which is high, everyone that passeth by it shall be astonished and shall hiss, and they shall say, why hath the Lord done thus unto this land and to this house? And they shall answer, because they forsook the Lord their God, who brought their fathers out of the land of Egypt, and have taken hold upon their gods, and worshipped them, and served them. Therefore hath the Lord brought upon them all this evil. Before that, yeah.
What verse 4 say?
And if thou wilt walk before me as David thy father walked, in the integrity of his heart and uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded thee, I will keep thy statutes and my judgments. Then I will establish his throne, thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised David thy
What
father.
chapter 8 say? Chapter 8, verse 1. Is that the prayer?
Yeah.
So it should be chapter 9.
I'll find it.
I'm looking for chapter 9 when the Most High God responded.
Mm-hmm.
Should be the chapter after. Shouldn't be in chapter 8. Let's go to Second Chronicles. Our first, would it be in First Chronicles? Go to First Chronicles, chapter 7. First Chronicles, chapter 7. I think maybe verse 9.
Yeah, this First Kings 9, chapter 9, verse 2. The Lord appeared to Solomon on the second time, and he appeared unto him in Gibeon. And the Lord said unto him, I have heard thy prayer.
All right, so never mind. This is First Kings chapter 9, verse 2.
2.
All right, so First Kings chapter 9, verse 2.
I was about to be mad if I couldn't find it. That the Lord appeared to Solomon the second time, as he appeared unto him at Gibeon. And the Lord said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and thy supplication that thou hast made before me. I have hallowed this house which thou hast built to put my name there forever, and mine eyes and my heart shall be there perpetually. And if thou wilt walk before me as David thy father walked, in the integrity of his heart and uprightness to do according to all I have commanded thee.
You see the condition that he put on there? He said, if, right? If you'll do this, what happened?
And will keep my statutes and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised David thy father, saying, there shall not fail thee a man upon the throne of Israel. But if you shall at all turn from following me, you or your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them, then I will cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name will I cast out of my sight. And Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all the people. And at this house, which is high, everyone that passes by it shall be astonished and shall hiss, that they shall say, why hath the Lord done thus unto this land and to this house? And they shall answer, because they forsook the Lord their God, who brought forth their fathers out of the land of Egypt, and have taken hold upon other gods, and have worshipped them and served them. Therefore hath the Lord brought upon them all this evil.
Right, so this is exactly where King Manasseh is at this point, right? Doing everything that he wanted to do, right? And he got taken out of the land. Let's see what happens now.
And it came to pass at the end of 20 years that Solomon had built the two houses, the house of the Lord and the king's house.
That's it?
They start talking about him building the house and the dudes I was getting it in with
Let's go to First Chronicles.
It gotta be in Kings, man. Must be in Chronicles.
Yeah, I think it's in First Chronicles.
It's terrible.
This First Chronicles, chapter 7, I think it is.
It's like annoying when I can't separate the two.
Yeah.
Let's see.
What chapter is the prayer?
They're still on the genealogies in chapter 7. Oh, sorry.
I said first.
Okay.
Yeah, if it ain't first, it has to be 7.
I think you're right. Let's see. When Solomon had made an end of praying, fire came down from heaven.
This is First Chronicles chapter 7.
Verse 1.
First, second.
All right, Second Chronicles, my fault. This is Second Chronicles chapter 7, verse 1 is what we want.
No, let's go down a little bit more.
11?
Yeah. Wait.
Start at verse 9. This is Second Chronicles chapter 7, verse 9.
Yeah, good. And in the 8th day, they made a solemn assembly, for they kept the dedication of the altar 7 days and the feast 7 days. And on the 23rd day of the 7th month, he sent the people away into their tents, glad and merry in heart for the goodness that the Lord hath shown unto David and to Solomon and to Israel his people. Thus Solomon finished the house of the Lord and the king's house, and all that came into Solomon's heart to make in the house of the Lord, and in his own house he prosperously effected. And the Lord appeared to Solomon by night and said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and have chosen this place to myself for a house of sacrifice. If I shut up heaven that there be no rain, or if I command the locusts to devour the land, or if I send pestilence among my people, if my people which are called by my name shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and forgive their sin and will heal their land.
All right. So this is what King Manasseh did. He got taken into a different land and he humbled himself. Right. The Bible told us that he humbled himself. Let's go back to 2 Chronicles chapter 33. All right. So the Bible told us that he humbled himself. When he humbled himself, the Most High God heard him. Right. And that's what he promised that he would do. He said he promised, I hear him. Right. They humble themselves and they turn from their wicked ways, then I hear him. So this is what King Manasseh did. Where we leave off by verse?
Verse 13.
13.
14.
14. All right.
14.
This is 2 Chronicles chapter 33, verse 14.
Now after this, he built a wall without the city of David on the west side of Gihon.
Right, so this is after he came back. He came back and he built the wall. That represents for us, he is setting himself apart. Right, he just invaded his land, so now he's setting himself apart. That's what we have to do. Right, it's the same thing that holy means. Be hallowed. It means to be set apart. So it means to put a barrier. Certain things that we do, it's a barrier now. We can't do those things anymore. Keep going.
He built a wall without the city of David on the west side of Gihon in the valley, even to the entering in at the fish gate, and compassed about Ophel, and raised it up a very great height, and put captains of war in all the fenced cities of Judah. And he took away the strange gods and the idol out of the house of the Lord, and all the altars that he had built.
Gods and the idols, all the stuff that he re-erected. Remember Hezekiah, he took all that stuff down. So then Manasseh came along, he resurrected all that stuff and tried to get it back going. Right, but now he humbled himself after he got taken out, came back. He's like, I'm getting rid of all this stuff. So he ended up taking it right back down. All right, keep going.
And all the altars that he had built in the mount of the house of the Lord and in Jerusalem, and cast them out of the city. And he repaired the altar of the Lord, and sacrificed thereon peace offerings and thank offerings, and commanded Judah to serve the Lord God of Israel.
All right, so then after that, he commanded Judah. He said, you know what? Y'all serve the Most High God. All right, so now he's starting to lead his kingdom correctly. All right, but after you do that, you suffer loss, right? People, after you led people astray for so long, it's tough for people to get with the program. So now we're going to see how the people of Israel, or the people of Judah rather, how they responded.
Nevertheless, the people did sacrifice still in the high places, yet unto the Lord their God only.
All right, so now they sacrifice in the high places still, which they weren't supposed to do. But now when they sacrifice, they're only sacrificing it to the Most High God. All right, so they're doing it still the wrong way, but the intention is right. That's still not good enough for God, but that's what happens when we put ourselves in a position of leading people in the wrong way. Right, it's difficult for people to get it all the way right. Right, that's why these churches, sure, they think they serve and they're reading out of the right book, right, but they practice things the wrong way. Right, they celebrate the wrong things. They interpret things the wrong way. Same thing can happen to us, right? It does happen to us. That's why we have to constantly come and check ourselves and measure ourselves against the book. That's why we come here, so much, and we try to read and make sure that what we believe is specifically what we're reading, and not just what someone told us or what makes sense to us, or trying to make the Bible fit our understanding, but just saying, you know what, that's what it say, that's what I believe. Right? Keep going.
Now the rest of the acts of Manasseh and his prayer unto his God, and the words of the seers that spake to him in the name of the Lord God of Israel, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel. His prayer also, and how God was entreated of him, and all his sin and his trespass, in the places wherein he built high places and set up groves and graven images, before he was humbled. Behold, they are written among the sayings of the seers. So Manasseh slept with his fathers, and they buried him in his own house, and Ammon his son reigned in his stead.
All right, so now you got Ammon who comes along. This is Manasseh's son. All right, let's see how Ammon does.
Ammon was 22 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 2 years in Jerusalem.
All right, so Ammon was 22, right? And you reigned 2 years. Keep going.
But he did that which was evil in the sight of the Lord, as did Manasseh his father.
All right, so now he started doing like Manasseh used to do. All right, keep going.
For Ammon sacrificed unto all the carved images which Manasseh his father had made, and served them, and humbled not himself before the Lord, as Manasseh his father had humbled himself.
All right, he said Manasseh didn't humble himself, right? He didn't do that. All right, what else happened?
But Ammon trespassed more and more, and his servants conspired against him and slew him in his own house.
All right, so why do you think the Most High God didn't give Ammon a chance? Why do you think he didn't put him in a position where he gets taken off to Assyria, and then he gets a chance to humble himself, right? Because the Most High God is looking at our hearts. It's some of us that the Most High God is looking at. I know where you're going to end up. So in all our rebellion, he puts us through all this trouble, all because he's trying to get us to turn from our sin, right? All these different things. It's going to be people in our lives that exit our lives and do different things, all because he's trying to get our attention. And we suffer all this loss just because we're not paying attention, right? We're not the ones that want to do what God says right now. So we suffer, the people around us end up suffering, and we go through all this stuff just because he's trying to get us, because he's taking us through the same process that we have with the wheat, with our agriculture, right? He has to beat us out until now we're just this one grain, and we're able to be grown into a good fruit. All right, keep going.
But the people of the land slew all them that had conspired against King Ammon, and the people of the land made Josiah his son king in his stead.
Right? So we see now they conspired against Ammon, and the people killed Ammon. Right? So Ammon didn't humble himself. So Ammon going to hell. All right. So now we look at this situation. After that, they're not like the kings of Israel. Remember, the kings of Israel, they would make anybody king. All right. Anybody who just hopped up there and said, "Hey, I can do it," they'd be like, "Okay, go ahead." They're not like that. They said, "Well, you're the son of David. We got to keep it in the bloodline." So they made Josiah his son king. All right. So next week we'll learn a little bit more about Josiah and try to get an understanding of what he represents and how he lives. Right. But the most important thing is that we understand is that we can believe or we cannot believe, right? So a lot of people out there don't believe, a lot of people that say they believe and don't believe, but God is gonna remain faithful, right? What he says he's gonna do, it's gonna happen, right? Whether it happens tomorrow, whether it happens after we're dead, long gone, right? David never got to see any other promises that he promised him, right? It was after David died, that's when the house got built, right? That's when the temple got built. All right, David didn't get to see Jesus, right? He was long gone, and Jesus was the promise that he gave him. All right, so all these different things we may think, well, no, it's too long, God ain't gonna happen, or it must not be what I think it's gonna be. But it actually ended up playing out where we may not get to see it. Whatever happens, we have to keep that belief in ourselves that what the word is saying is right, or we cannot believe it. And if we don't believe it, doesn't matter. God is still gonna do exactly what he said. All right. Any questions? Well, let's pray out.